Hello, and welcome back to A Life Redesigned. You know, for so long, I had truly believed that I had it all figured out. You may have had that feeling, that belief as well. I had built a life that from the outside looked perfect. A successful career, family, travel, the custom built cars. All the check boxes were tick, tick, tick. And for years, I genuinely thought, this is it. This is my life. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But then slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, a feeling started to creep in. It was like a quiet disorientation, not a sudden crash, but more like a persistent whisper that grew louder and louder and louder over time. It was a whisper that said, Lynette, this isn't quite right. This isn't you anymore, and maybe it never was you. I know it's kind of hard to explain, but it felt like I was living in this spectacular house that someone else had built for me, that someone else had designed. And even though the furniture was lovely and the view was stunning, it just never fully, truly felt like home for me. I was going through the motions, hitting all the marks, and yet there was a hollow space inside. And then it was just a growing sense that the person I had become had no longer fit the life that I was living. I remember sitting in my house in San Francisco, and I was just shouting up at the moon. And I was like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I'm just existing? Why do I feel like a failure? I actually felt like a failure. I just felt like, wow, I've done all the things. I had this great career. I had a legacy of building peak performing teams. I just had the things. And yeah, some of it was good. Yeah, some of it was real good. But it just didn't feel like it was for me. And I would get more into my story, but over time, things just kept being taken, culminating in 2023, where I just lost basically everything. And as I mentioned in my intro video, I also lost my son. Now that hurt more than anything. And I wanted to give up. Like I just wasn't built for this life. That's how I felt. You know, when you have so many devastating losses, one right after the other, the courage to get up and keep going is very, very hard. But I kept getting this whisper, girl, you are not giving up. No matter how I did, like, I'm done. But it was like, no, you are not giving up. You have an assignment to do. There are so many women in this same situation. Our stories are a little bit different, but the elements, the underlying foundations are many of the same. And that's why I'm here. So I didn't give up. I'm still here. I'm still going. And one of the latest things that I did to redesign my life was after 20 years in California, I moved to the opposite coast, and now I've been 8 months in Fort Lauderdale. It's different, but I also know that this is just a temporary pause before my ultimate move to where I have desired to be since I was about 5 years old. And that realization that this is not the life of my design, and after losing like everything and having to start over yet again, it was both terrifying and in a strange way it was also liberating, because other than my losing my son, all of these things were just things. My career was built on conformity, you know, meeting the needs of an organization. And the more I did for them, the more that they were taking from me. And I remember during the pandemic, I had a team all over the world because we all worked remote way before the pandemic even started. And I got 3 drug approvals for the company. I got no extra bonus. I got no promotion. What I did get was, we need you now over here in this department because this project is struggling and we need you and your stellar team. It wasn't my life. The things that were taken away from me, that wasn't about blame. It wasn't about having the regret for the past. All the things that were not fitting my design was just simply the truth. It was the life I had meticulously built, the one I thought was mine. It wasn't, not anymore. So where does that leave me? It was the quiet truth that was the beginning of everything. And then that is where the iconic global was born, the life architecture method, it was born. So if you've ever felt that whisper, that quiet disorientation, that uncomfortable feeling where, oh, God, something's just not right, but you can't put your finger on it. That sense that the life you're living is truly not yours. I see you. And you're not alone in that feeling. And sometimes just acknowledging the truth is the most powerful step that you can take. So if this has resonated with you, please give this video a like, share it with another woman that you know really urgently needs to hear this message. And click subscribe so that you can get more of these salon conversations, the diaries as of today. And so the more you share, the more you come by, I'll be able to share more with you and we can continue these conversations together. There is just so much more to explore. So I thank you for being here with me today.